Hello, welcome to Living Environment. I am your teacher, Ms. Parsons. I am going to be going over your first lesson today for the new year, the blended school year of 2020 to 2021. So I know we all expected to be starting blended learning today. However, everyone will be starting virtual learning starting today, September 21st. Although hopefully you're watching this video before September 21st because this assignment is due on September 21st right now. So this is Unit 1, Day 1, and you're going to be getting a video like this before each day, and it will be like the lecture part of class, right? When the teacher is explaining the topics, and then when you guys come into class time, which will be held on Zoom or via discussions on the Google Classroom stream, we'll be doing practice problems on Castle Learning, which you guys are all hopefully signed up for, and we'll also be taking your questions and discussing with each other. And hopefully, especially because we'll be socially distanced next week and the following week on Zoom, we'll be able to have a lot of great meaningful discussions in those times. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna follow along with me as you are watching this video on YouTube. We're also going to be completing this handout, which yours should look like this. You have access to it from the stream. It's not up there yet, but you're going to see a new topic called Unit 1, Scientific Inquiry, and you're going to see Unit 1, Day 1 as the assignment, and when you click on it, it will open up this document. And this document is for your notes, so you are going to submit that on the Google Classroom stream. However, it is only going to be graded for completion. So please feel free to, please feel free to, there we go. Please feel free to write down whatever is, and I already answered those questions, so you won't get a preview for them, but you will see 2 questions that will be being graded for accuracy, and you'll get to know right after you complete the form if you completed them accurately, and then you'll know, okay, did I understand these topics that we went over on this day, or do I have extra questions for the teacher? And we're starting here with Unit 1, Day 1, Scientific Inquiry. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're starting with our aim here. How do scientists pose questions, seek answers, and develop solutions? And the method with which they do that is called the scientific method, which you may have learned about in the lower grades, maybe in middle school or elementary school when you completed science fair style projects, right? And so the scientific method is a linear process. You start at the top and you go all the way through to the end, and that's the end of your experiment. However, we want to broaden our minds and we want to think about it rather as the scientific inquiry process, right? So for example, when scientists are conducting an experiment, they may, after receiving data from their first set of trials, go back, modify their hypothesis, and complete more trials. That is called the scientific inquiry process, right? So it is not linear, it's not start one place, end at the bottom. It involves many different attempts to replicate experiments and get meaningful quality data. So this whole first unit is going to be talking about that scientific inquiry process. How do scientists conduct experiments? And then we're going to be using this knowledge that hopefully is mostly review for all of you. We're going to be using this knowledge to carry us throughout the rest of the year when you'll be designing experiments in living environment. And this living environment class is a required high school course for all of you that culminates usually in the Regents exam with mandatory 15 hours of labs that are held in the building here. I'm actually sitting in the lab room now. But because you'll be completing a lot of this year virtually, we have changed some of the models. So some of those experiments that normally we would be conducting in person, hands-on, will be conducted virtually. But what is appropriate for you and for the future of science research is a lot of scientific research is conducted by gathering data online and by analyzing data tables with different computer platforms. So we hopefully will be able to give you some of that experience via virtual labs. But let's go ahead and take a look at your do now. So describe a time when you conducted an experiment. So on your paper, write out, and it doesn't have to be a very long explanation, but when is a time that you conducted an experiment? I'll tell you about an experiment that one of my students conducted in the past. I used to work in a middle school, and I had a group of girls, and they designed an experiment. They wanted to test what different concentrations of bleach, how do different concentrations of bleach affect hair color. So what they did is they got 3 different sets of hair extensions, and they were human hair extensions, and they mixed 3 different quantities of developer and bleach solution. So they had a 1% bleach solution, a 2% bleach solution, and then a 30% bleach solution, which had a lot of peroxide in it, which is the thing that actually makes your hair get lighter. So my students designed this experiment. They had data tables. They were very thorough. They wrote out their materials. They wrote out their procedures. And then when they conducted the experiment, when they were looking to see how the different concentrations of bleach affected the hair color, all of the hair extensions were the same color in the end. So their qualitative data, their observations were that the 3 different concentrations of bleach ultimately had the same effect on the hair extensions. Now, that is something that happens to scientists very frequently when they're conducting real research. They get results that may not be what they anticipated or predicted would happen. So what do? Part of that scientific inquiry process, they go back to the drawing board and they do their experiments again in order to find out what, what went wrong and develop their answers and solutions. Now, in this case, I think all the girls learned was how not to dye hair, but can you tell me, what was the independent variable? What was the dependent variable in that bleach concentration experiment? Go ahead and rewind back the video to hear the example again if you need to, and comment below in the YouTube comments section, what was the independent variable and what was the dependent variable in the bleach concentration experiment that my students conducted. And if those terms are not familiar to you, they will be soon. But let's go ahead and start with part A, observations and inferences. So in the case of the experiment I was just discussing, an observation that my students made was that the hair color was the same no matter what type of bleach they use to dye it. So an inference that they made based on that observation was that they would need to use stronger bleach to make the hair blonde, or that the hair was too dark to dye. So in life and in science especially, we make a lot of different observations, and we use those observations, that data, to make inferences. So let's take a look at this image, and you're going to make a list of observations and inferences based on this image. So based on this image, we can observe that there has been, it looks like a car flipped over and it's missing a tire, right? So an observation is car is flipped over, missing a tire. So then what is the inference we can make based on that? That there was a car accident. And we didn't witness the car accident, but we can see here we have the evidence of a car accident. And you can make your list longer there. What are some other observations that you can make? For example, there's cars stopped on the side of the road. It looks like maybe 2 police cars. Other cars stopped here, maybe some traffic cones, right? So those are different observations we can make. So then we can infer that the police have stopped traffic due to this big accident, right? So the observation involves one or more of our 5 senses and is a noting or recording of facts. So an example of an observation might be, I notice a student has pink hair, right? So this is an observation that I've made. I can see with my eyes that someone's hair is pink. So then an inference that I can make based on that observation is that student has dyed their hair, right? I don't know of any genetic combinations that would give you pink hair. So if you see someone with pink hair, you can infer or assume, right? So this could be an inference is like an assumption. Assume that they have dyed their hair. Except the key in science, and when we make inferences and experiments, that they are logical interpretations based upon prior knowledge and experience. And the quality of your prior knowledge and experience matters, which is why the observations are so important. In science class, you may make many observations, measurements, you may take photos, you may take sketches of your view under the microscope, and these observations will be used to support your inferences and eventually support your conclusions in an experiment. So it may seem like we're harping on the same topics over and over again, but you want to make sure you're able to use these words fluently throughout all of our units. So again, an observation is based on facts, and an inference is a logical interpretation made upon prior knowledge and experience. Going back to this image up here, if a very young child saw this, they might not know what happened. They might ask their parent, mom, dad, grandma, whoever they're with, what happened here, right? Because they don't have the prior knowledge and experience to tell them that this is a car accident. So let's go on. Now let's practice. So taking a look at this image here, we can see this man, he's sitting behind a computer, he's biting his nails. We can observe that. So what is the inference we can make based on those observations? Is that maybe he is anxious. So we can see here he's biting his nails. So we can infer he's anxious. Now here we can see what is an observation we can make. Go ahead and take a look at that image. That the kids are wearing costumes, that they're holding little bags, that they look like children. So what can we infer? That it is Halloween and they are trick-or-treating. So now let's take a look at this last image here, and we're almost done with your first day of notes. And we can see here that their backs are turned, so they're leaving. They've got suitcases and they're skipping. They look very excited. So leaving with suitcases. We can infer they're going on vacation, maybe even on their honeymoon. And you may be able to make different observations and inferences based on these images. But in science class, we're going to be making a lot of observations, and you may be making them from home, doing hands-on labs yourselves. So it's important to understand how we can use these observations to support quality inferences in science. So now that you've finished watching this video, you're going to go ahead and open up your exit ticket form. I've already responded, so I can't see the questions, but you'll be able to answer. It's just 2 questions to see that you understood. And then please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, Ms. Parsons' channel. I'm your science teacher this year. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Now all of your teachers are YouTubers. What a world we live in. It's 2020. And please don't forget to comment below what the independent variable and the dependent variable were in the bleach experiment that I talked about at the beginning of this video. But all right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed your first day. Peace and blessings. Stay safe and healthy in this pandemic year, and see you all on Zoom.